everybody doing tonight? Well, I thought today we'd spend some time talking about client onboarding. After countless emails, phone calls, meetings, you've landed your new client. The contract is signed, you've sealed the deal. Now what? How do you make sure your client is set up for long-term success? Well, client onboarding is a fancy term for the process of getting started. It's the process in which the client gains knowledge, understanding, and the tools necessary to have a good relationship with your firm, where your company also gains knowledge, understanding, and tools needed to be an effective service provider. Client onboarding is the process of introducing and welcoming new clients into your company, the initial step on their journey with you. It includes addressing any concerns and questions they may have, ensuring you're both on the same page, and making sure that your client feels confident in your ability to achieve their desired outcome. This helps establish complete client satisfaction, and it's going to increase your chances of retaining the client over time. Now, the key is to acknowledge that the sales process is only half of the equation. Building a strong relationship with your client is what really matters, because how they feel at the start of this journey is going to set the tone for your future together. To ensure a smooth kickoff and make sure you don't lose business before the relationship even starts, you have to have a good client onboarding process in place. So how do you make sure your client is set up for long-term success? Well, when you get a new client, first impressions mean everything. Onboarding is one of the initial interactions between a company and its newly won client. So it's no surprise that the company's approach affects the relationship from the very beginning and is going to have lasting effects moving forward. Here are a couple of simple suggestions to ease the onboarding process. First one is keep communication open. Solving pain points early on is the quickest way to ease the stress of a new client, or a new employee for that matter. Agencies must first listen well to clients and figure out their main goal. Perhaps this goes without saying, but clients also have to listen well to what you're saying. Now, open communication across both parties could foster a positive, consultative client structure. First week working together creates the most impressions and lays the foundation for a productive, or not, relationship between the groups. Next, make sure the data is accurate. To help clients optimize their business processes, it's important to analyze forward-facing information as well as the data they collect to bring work-in sessions. And sometimes the data on the client's website differs from the client's story. For example, if a client is losing money and needs to figure out why, it's smart to assess their business information along with their marketing campaigns. Either can help drive more positive traffic toward the client, but inaccurate numbers can lead to faulty information or websites across collateral materials. You have to look behind the messaging to dig into the figures too. You should also try to write the real story and do it with real numbers. And there's no doubt the client is researched before seeking out a professional's opinion. In fact, the client might know more about your agency or your company than you anticipated. But this is a positive sign that the client appreciates a consultative approach. Now, once the data is compiled, vetted, analyzed, the agency can write a real story that aligns with the client's visions. Numbers can say much more about a company, but a story can flesh out even more detail. Devise a strategy to solve the pain points. Entrepreneurs are famous for identifying and solving pain points before they become chronic issues. Larger companies would be wise to develop this attribute. Smaller agencies tend to have lower client-to-manager ratios with greater individual knowledge of clients and those more personal connections. So of course they naturally provide more opportunity to address emerging concerns before conflicts actually arise. Now, solving pain points the client hasn't truly felt yet elevates the consultant's value and increases the likelihood that the client will remain a client for a longer span of time. Next, you want to bring it all together. The previous 4 techniques that I've told you have uncovered options. Now it's time to discuss how each can be optimized to achieve the client's objectives. Consultants can break down what they've learned about the client and create innovative ways of dealing with pain points when they're just, before they're real pain points, when they're just slight discomforts. This way, the agency can develop a process for anticipating issues, and make sure that, if the client is uncomfortable, there's some way of dealing with it. You need to be able to handle those aspects before the client has time to really feel the sting of what's going on. So those are some good general ideas. Now it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty. So here are some client onboarding best practices. First, you want to start communication immediately. To establish a successful kickoff, immediate communication with your client is critical, even if the work hasn't officially started yet. Find small reasons, any reasons, to communicate with them. Losing contact with the client early on might mean losing the client completely. Social media is a great way to start nurturing the business relationship. Find out what social networks your client utilizes most often and engage with them on that platform. Comment on one of their Facebook posts, retweet them, or share one of their recent blog posts on LinkedIn. Not only does it keep you in communication, but it also shows how to leverage social media in those relationships. And it's especially important when you'll be focusing on social media work for the client. Next, make sure you collect all the necessary data up front. It may seem obvious, but this is one of the most important things you want to do, is collect everything you need from your client now. Without this information, you possibly can't do your job. But more importantly, when you ask later on, clients may not be as eager to give, plus you might seem foolish for not getting it the first time. So to help a client meet their goals, you have to know where they currently stand. You also have to know what's working well and what are the areas in which they're struggling. Where's the majority of their website traffic coming from? What's their typical buyer persona? An ideal way to obtain this information is with a questionnaire or maybe some sort of briefing document. But no matter what method you choose, the important thing is having a reliable source, a hard copy of the resource, not just mental lists, and use it every time a new client signs on with your company. Now, in addition to information on the current status of your client, you're also going to need logon details for the software you'll be using. It could be Google Analytics, Twitter ads, Optimizely, etc. And on top of that, you're going to have granted access to any relevant documents or spreadsheets necessary to complete your work. For example, buyer persona documents in Google Docs, or user testing video notes in Google Sheets, or things like that. And all this information should be shared immediately after signing, so that way it's out of the way early and it doesn't cause any friction later on. You're going to want to make sure all this paperwork is shareable, and your team will need to collaborate on these documents, questionnaires, phone interview, transcripts, so make them centrally available right from the start. Next, you want to clarify expectations. To successfully reach your client's goals, you want to first define what those goals are. What exactly are they looking for? What's their end goal? What's their definition of success? Requests for increased website traffic or more engaging social media or better conversion rates, they're just too vague. Your client's goals have to be clearly articulated and translated into specific measurable goals. For example, increase traffic by X or X% conversion rate. In addition, knowing what your client is looking for in terms of final outcomes, you also have to clarify mid-journey expectations. Details like timing, milestones, etc. And to achieve success, everyone has to be involved in the goal-setting process. Expectations have to be realistic, and everyone needs to remain on the same page throughout the entire journey. Don't forget to brief the rest of your team. Onboarding isn't just for the client. Since success requires teamwork, successful client-agency relationships must incorporate an element of team onboarding. Educate your entire marketing team. Brief them on the new client. Be sure they have an understanding of the client, the campaign, and the work involved. Ensure every team member understands the client's objectives and that everyone knows his or her role and responsibilities in obtaining those objectives. Assign them any necessary reading materials, loop them into your notes, and grant them access to your assessments, contacts, and any other important information that they might need. Now, once this is all done, you can have a kickoff call with the client and their entire team. And the call is crucial because it ensures that your client gets a chance to have a great first impression of your team, but it also sets the stage for retention down the road. It's also important to ensure everyone's on the same page before moving forward with the work. Now next, you want to prove your value quickly. Since clients are often skeptical about your ability to produce positive results for them, as a gesture of good faith, it's a good idea to look for ways to deliver some quick wins, some early wins, as soon as possible. For example, make sure your client is driving traffic to dedicated post-click landing pages instead of to their homepage. It's a great way to deliver fast results. Additionally, minimizing the load time of those post-click landing pages can increase traffic by 50%. Though it'll likely take some time to meet your client's end goal, you can certainly find ways like these to gain small successes along the way. You always want to keep communication flowing. Steadily flowing, effective communication. It's one of the most critical client onboarding best practices. Several components play into this, including setting up a central point of contact. First contact information for all methods of contact should be exchanged. Phone numbers, email addresses, etc. At the same time, though, a preferred communication channel should be agreed upon by everybody. What will be the primary method of communication? Is it going to be phone? Is it going to be email, Slack, Skype, Google, whatever? Also, the client should know who their central point of contact is at your company, and vice versa. Now, you should also create a communication schedule. Setting up a communication schedule is important for the onboarding process to make sure you consider details like, when is your team available for contact? When is the client available? Are you in the same time zone? Will it be a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly check-in call? You should check in after 30 days to get a sense of how the process is going, to address any issues or concerns that may have arisen, and to confirm that the client is satisfied with your work so far. You should also exchange feedback regularly. And this is another way to keep communication effective and flowing. To provide sufficient feedback to the client, you're going to want to document and review everything so that you can offer them specific, detailed reports when necessary. You may also want to listen to your client's feedback. Ask them questions or provide them with a survey. One way to receive this feedback is by using a smart sheet to collect data. By hearing what they have to say, you can use that information to improve your overall client experience, and this way it can also help you build the business relationship. Now, of course, using the right tools can make communication easy. And as technology advances, so do the options for tools to accomplish key marketing objectives. One idea that I love, and it's very effective, is create a video. When it comes to client onboarding, a video is ideal for things like introductions, tutorials, meetings, updates, etc. Record yourself welcoming the new client, introducing everyone on your team, with a screen record using yourself, various software, and show your client how to use it. Another recent advance in marketing technology is the utilization of collaboration software, and this makes the process of working as a team more efficient. It's a good idea to use a post-click landing page that offers integrated collaboration capabilities for marketing teams and agencies. This way it also allows clients and agencies to share and to respond to comments, provide feedback to each other, resolve issues, and all within the platform and in real time. Finally, make sure you focus on the overall relationship. It's essential to acknowledge that client onboarding isn't just about the service you're providing to the client. It's about the entire experience of working together as a team to reach a common goal. Think of it this way. You might accomplish every one of your client's goals, but if they don't feel a strong, closely knit client-agency connection, they might not feel comfortable working with you in the future. And although the client retainer fee is satisfying, this can't be your only concern. Instead, take the time and effort to focus on the overall success of your client, your business relationship as a whole. They'll recognize this, and in turn, they're going to be more loyal to you. That's going to increase your chances of retaining them as a client. Now, getting started in creating your client onboarding process, it's going to take a substantial amount of time and energy. So it's imperative that you do everything possible to keep them on board. And that's why it's critical to have an effective client onboarding process in place. By following a client onboarding checklist, you can ensure that your needs, the needs of the client, and everyone else on your team, everyone's needs are being met. So that's our spiel on client onboarding. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll have some resources available on this, so be sure to check that out. But it's a vital part of the process. Nothing worse than getting a new client on board and then upsetting them right off the bat. So you really need to think through this. Don't be proactive. Don't be reactive to this, because this can make the difference in keeping a client and losing a client. Anyway, Joe Pastore with Platinum Method Coaching. Until next time, make it a great day.